From Hasbro and Transformers Earthspark, this is the Warrior Class Elita-1 and Optimus Prime. So, for anyone who doesn't know, Warrior Class are gimmick figures that are still articulated, they still transform, they still fit with your usual Transformers, but they are made for a younger audience, they're usually made cheaper, they're sold at a lower price point. Sometimes they're great. You know, Cyberverse was a really rough point, but then the later days of Cyberverse and into this new series Earthspark, the Warriors have actually made some really nice toys. Some of my favorite toys from Earthspark so far have been the Warrior Class ones. Case in point, Elita-1. I've said a few times on the channel, about a year and a half back, I got really burnt on Transformers, sold most of the collection off. Elita was one of the ones I sold, and I regretted it. Truth be told, there's not many Transformers that I had to go back to grab again. Elita-1 was one of them. And when I found them, I found Optimus Prime for sale, clearance. I don't know. They both look like they're fine. I know Elita-1 is a good figure, so we're going to open them up, take a look, try to figure out why Optimus was only $4 at Walmart. And obviously to point out is, of course, there is no plastic. It's just right here. It's tied in. Here on the back you can see the figure and the vehicle mode. The whole thing is basically, you know, just the plastic-free packaging. I don't really mind it, but, you know, you have to check for things. Luckily, neither one of these figures have anything that could pop off easily. Optimus has ball joint arms, but they're really tied down. Everything else, like you can see, like they put the loop through the fist, so you can't pull that out. The heads aren't on ball joints, so you can't pull that out. Make it look like LeBron James from the Space Jam movie. For these figures, they are packaged securely. The only thing I ever really worry about is potentially damaged paint, but I've been lucky so far. Getting these two out of the box, my first thought is, you know, these are $15 figures. They're 5 below a deluxe, well actually closer to 7 below a deluxe nowadays. And for what you're getting, I think they are both actually pretty defendable. There's stuff to work with here. Serviceable is the word I'm looking for. Elita-1, I think, is the more interesting, but also the more flawed. Optimus, meanwhile, I wasn't expecting much. I got the Deluxe Optimus, I did not like the Deluxe Optimus, but this Warrior Optimus, this is the best Earthspark Optimus I've seen so far. I want to look at Elita first, then we'll look at Optimus, and then we'll get into vehicle modes in just a minute. Keep in mind, Elita-1 was from Wave 1 of the Warrior class for Earthspark. No matter what Transformers line it is, Wave 1 is always going to be a little bit awkward just because they had to adjust to new design identities, new looks for characters, a lot of times even new designers entirely. For all those reasons, Elita-1, I can understand how they came out just a bit awkward. A couple things I'll point out though. I do like the color scheme. There's not a lot of paint here, some silver on the chest and the shoulders, some black for the hands, the face, and then the yellow emblem up top. But I think that the paint here does help, and I like the color scheme. Like, it's basically just two tones of pink, a more magenta red followed into that more rosy pink, but it looks nice. It helps that I'm always a bit of a fan of Elita-1. For no reason at all. Here's Legacy Elita-1. These guys would have actually been out on store shelves around the same point, and obviously, this Elita is the better Elita. But there's a lot to like here, and I even had a few friends who, this Elita-1, as great as she is, isn't G1 enough. For the proportions from the G1 cartoon, this arguably is a lot closer to the kind of stocky and boxy look that we saw in the G1 cartoon, The Hunt for Alpha Trion. Alongside that, Elita has some decent articulation, nothing in the head, which is always a little bit sad. I would like a head swivel. Shoulders are weird, so you can go out, but to go forward, you move here. It's like a universal joint that's also a transformation joint. It's a little bit stiff. Alongside that, you have a ball joint for the elbow. We're going to get back to the hand over here in a minute. Alongside that, you have a ball joint at the hip, and a knee that works really strangely. It still works, I like it, you know, give you a little bit of articulation, but it is a very strange joint. The gimmick of this figure is that you can switch out what guns. So you have a rifle here, but you can flip that around and flip it over. Actually, you're supposed to keep it folded down. And now you have Elita's one hand holding a pistol. You can just keep doing that, so switch out which guns you use, or you could go over-under, make it look like she kind of has it underslung. It's a simple gimmick. I'm not gonna say, oh, it's the best gimmick ever, but I think it works, and I do think it's kind of fun, in all honesty. I think it looks better when the rifle is out, but, you know, it's a decent little gimmick. It doesn't get in the way of the figure too much, and it gives you a unique-looking Elita-1, which is great because quite frankly we don't have many Elita-1 toys to begin with. Optimus came from a later wave of the warrior figures, and quite frankly, it shows. He is so much more on point with his proportions. He does have a little bit of a backpack, but weirdly enough, the Deluxe had that same backpack. The head sculpt looks really solid. I don't like the look of Earthspark Optimus, but that is what he looks like in the show. Alongside that, the paint looks a little bit better, the colors are a bit easier on the eyes. Even his gimmick works a bit better. So basically this axe swings out and then folds down, and then boom, you have the Energon axe. But boop, you can always fold it right back in, and then you basically don't even have to acknowledge it. This is just a solid little Optimus. In terms of articulation, you have a swivel at the head, or rather a ball joint. Again, it just cut like a universal. And then we have a ball joint for the elbow, waist articulation, ball joint at the thigh, an actual knee, and then you do have this, which is for the transformation, but you can use it kind of to balance more awkward poses. You basically have a heel joint, not a toe joint, but a heel joint. And if you heard that crashing, it's because I accidentally knocked Elita-1 off the table. Comparing Warrior Optimus to Deluxe Optimus, quite frankly, I like this one so much more. This figure is a bit bloated, I don't like the proportions, the colors are a bit dull. It's more accurate to the show, absolutely. But that Optimus just looks so much better to me, and I like the head sculpt more. It's a little bit more stylized. I don't know, I'm never going to like the Earthspark Optimus head, but I do like it on that figure a lot more than I like it on this figure. It's going to be an apples to origins comparison to most, but if you did want to pick up an Earthspark Optimus but didn't want to pay deluxe price point, I honestly think the Warrior is a more than adequate replacement. That said, you don't have an option with Elita-1. If you want her figure and don't want the one-step changer, you need the Warrior Elita-1. I'm not trying to knock this figure. Like I said, I do really enjoy it. That's why I tracked it back down. I just wish that, Alita got a deluxe too. Maybe we'll get lucky, but quite frankly, with the fact that Hasbro seems to be ditching Earthspark, I kind of feel like we're never going to get another version of this design. And that sucks because I really like Earthspark. I really like the Earthspark characters, and I want more figures for them, and I just don't think we're going to get those. But that's enough negativity. Why don't we actually look at their vehicle modes now? Now, in vehicle mode, Optimus might look more impressive, but here's what I want to say. 1. Elita-1 is a Humvee. We don't get many cars like this in Transformers. It actually looks really nice. Granted, I could use way more paint. This is very barren. But the transformation is so clever in ways you would not expect from this type of toy. I really enjoy the transformation here. I think it's great. Optimus. I mean, just look at this. There's so many things that are supposed to tab together, but they don't. They don't, because the plastic just doesn't want to flex in some places, doesn't want to give in other places. Also, his feet are just there. I don't know. Alongside that, the transformation isn't fun. If you've messed with one Optimus, you basically have already felt this guy's transformation. Also, I have a QC issue on mine. The roof doesn't go flush. He can't get his head all the way down. So, there is that. That might be the reason why my guy was on clearance. Maybe this was like a widespread issue and I just didn't know. Probably not. I'm probably reading too much into it. It's probably because there's 50 other Optimus Primes on the stores right now. But again, I feel like people would watch this video and walk away saying, oh, Optimus is clearly the better figure. But out of these two, even though I would probably recommend both, Elita-1 is my favorite. I think Elita-1 is one of the better figures to come out of Earthspark because it is a clever figure. It's a character we don't get often enough, and what it does right, it does really, really well. There's things that need to be improved upon. There's issues. I wish there was more paint. But that doesn't change the fact that out of every Transformer I got rid of, one of the only ones I missed was that Elita-1. That said, weirdly enough, transforming them back to robot mode, Optimus's transformation's a lot more fun. It feels a lot more, I don't know, heroic, like they intended you to go from truck to robot and see all these little details get revealed. It's weird how some Transformers are like that. Some feel better when they're going to vehicle mode, others it's so much more cool when they go into robot mode. But at the end of the day, I feel like I'm going to be one of the only people who are like beating the drum for Earthspark. I hate that it's not given the love from Hasbro and honestly from general audiences that I think it should. I think a big problem is that it's trapped on a crappy streaming service that no one wants or cares about. Sorry, I'm sure there's people out there that will defend Paramount Plus, so I'm not one of them. But if you get a chance, give the show a try. It's a good show. Give the toys a try. My one issue is that a lot of the best toys from this line are repaints from Cyberverse. But all the original people I've messed with from this, these guys, the Deluxe Twitch, the Deluxe Optimus to a lesser extent, Nightshade, the Warrior Thrash, it feels like Earthspark just constantly gives me little surprises. It helps that they're some of the cheapest ways to get full, proper Transformers right now, and I feel like in some ways they feel a need to compensate for their existence by being, nice little clever pocket money toys. They're good. I like them, and I really hope more people give them a chance because, truth be told, most of them are probably heading to clearance before too much longer.